Flosstube. Welcome to my channel, Bobo Jessie Stitches. I'm Jessie, and this is a channel primarily about cross stitching. How are y'all doing? For those of you who are new or returning, doesn't matter. Welcome in. Let's have a good time. What's today? Today is Monday, February 6th. I'm running a little late in my schedule for uploading these videos, but that is okay because work has been crazy. January is actually the busiest time for me for work, and so like long days, 10, some 12-hour days, working on the weekends. You don't want to hear about that, but it does impact my stitching. And so we finally have kind of gotten to that stage where we're in, for me anyways, I'm in a holding pattern while other people do their work before I have some additional work for me. So I took a couple of days off. I took this past Friday and I took today off in order to kind of recover from that work and get me less burnt out, which means cross stitching. But unfortunately, because of how busy I was, my January numbers, not so great, but I worked on a lot of stuff. So let's get to it. So I posted on Instagram. So for anyone who follows me on Instagram, you've already seen everything, but you get some previews because I have worked on some of these projects in February. So there's been some extra work on it since those photos were posted. But you did see my monthly data. And again, this is just for me and my own tracking because I like data. It's a thing I like. So, but I ended up putting in only 4,199 stitches in the course of January. And you will find, if you have followed me, if you're new, you don't know this, but I typically do between 8 to 10,000 stitches in a month. So for me, this is actually quite low. Excuse me. And I actually posted that I stitched for 21 days on Instagram. That's incorrect. I only stitched for 17 days. Some days I worked on more than one project. I had added all of the days that I worked on a project as opposed to unique days. So I only ended up working just a little over half of the month doing any kind of stitching. And sometimes not even that much. But let's get going. Let's talk about the fun stuff. All right. First up, it was January, and so January 1st, what happens? It's a new year. You got to have a new start, right? So I did have a new start, and I am working, and I started Lord Theodore Witherbottom. This is from Forbidden Fiber Co., and it is, I'm so sorry, excuse me, part of a series of steampunk sheep. And this is the first newsletter that came with it. So, Steampunk Gazette, Strange Things Are Afoot. It's a mystery. And I have been slowly but surely collecting all of these. It's still in progress. I just placed another pre-order for the next one. And so every couple of months or so, we get a new one. And I thought, it's about time to start stitching these, right? So, I am do everything with the called for, because it was a kit from Forbidden Fiber Co. I'm doing everything called for. So this is on 32 count linen, frozen with the called for Forbidden Fiber Co. floss. And this is it. So this is a project that I started on January 1, and I have worked on it a little bit in February. So you're seeing the to-date progress. But in January, I worked on this for 10 days, and I put in 2,088 stitches. And really what I included in what I've done in February is just that part of the little goggles that you see at the top there. That's the only part I did in February. But this is fun. So this is actually going to be my travel stitching, because as you can see from the pattern, it's a lot of fill in the color in the block, right? So where the sheep is. And so my goal right now is to get to the point where I finish doing the outline of his body, get the hat outlined in, and then on the, and then eventually getting the lettering and that kind of stuff. And so that way I can take it with me to whatever I take it to, that traveling where you don't want to have a pattern out in front of you. So, but this is fun. This is a very fun, fast stitch. Cute sheep. What can you do, right? So So that was my big project. That's the one I spent the most amount of time on. And when you order the kits from Forbidden by the Cote, there's a coordinating bag. So that's the Lord Witherbottom bag. Right. After that, everything else I only worked on a couple of days. So nothing super exciting, not huge amounts of progress on anything. So next up is Tree of Magic by Barbara Anna. I don't have a full completed picture, but here is this one. So that's where it is. I stitched on this for a total of 3 days, and I put in 412 stitches into it. The kit is from Nitka Moscow, and that is available only exclusively through her. And so I don't know everything. I know it's DMC, but it's unknown linen. It's 2/2 on 32 count unknown linen. And here it is. And my progress was I continued working on this branch of the tree. So I filled in the cat, added in these mushrooms, and then I put in the bird up here. And I think I also did the snail. So, but this is one of my before 2021 projects, or started before 2022 projects. And so this is one of my goals to finish this year. So this will continue to be a focus piece. My goal is to work on it at least 3 to 5 days every month, assuming it fits prompts for my challenge group. But that is kind of the goal currently with that. So I love Barbara Anna. She is one of my favorite designers, and she keeps releasing things. There was one that just came out that I'm just sitting on my hands, and I don't know why. Just buy it, but it's the sequel to Cosmic Girl. So she released Cosmic Girl last year, which was fantastic, and now she's done Cosmic Girl Dreaming, which is the bigger piece, that part of that dreamline where the hair flows to the side, and there's all these things in her hair. But it has the Galaga aliens from the 80s. Oh, so I don't know why. I should just buy it. Because I want it, so I should get it. But I still feel like I have so much to stitch that do I need to buy another one? I don't know. But anyways. But let me know. Is anyone stitching it? I saw a lot of people doing Cosmic Girl last year, but I don't know if I've seen anyone doing Cosmic Girl Dreaming. If you're stitching it, let me know. Maybe we can sal along. Next up is Here Be Dragons by Modern Folk Embroidery. Here it is, part of his Dark Crosses series. I worked on this for 2 days for 412 stitches, and I'm going to need your opinion. I am doing this on 32 count even weave. This is Papyrus by Color and Cotton, and the floss is Plum Shadow by by Roxy Flosstube. So that's what I got done. Pretty much what you've seen is me filling in most of this. So let me do a close-up so you can see this. Look at that negative space design. Isn't that amazing? I don't know why it's not focusing. Focus, focus, focus. There it goes. All right, so this is where I need your opinion. And please let me know what you think I should do. So as I was stitching along, I was kind of noticing that I was just going through the floss, as you do. And this is the original floss pack that I received. I received 4, and then as I was going through it, so here it is, a little block there. And as I was going through it, I was kind of like, I'm not sure I have enough floss. Did I order the right kit? Did I order the right floss and everything? And because I changed I changed the fabric. I ordered a kit and I changed the fabric. I'm like, oh, was it a different count? Like, did I accidentally order the 36 count fabric as opposed to the 32 count? And that's why I won't have enough floss or whatever. And so anyways, so I did some calculations and it wasn't, or it's not enough. The four is not enough. I didn't make a mistake, but it was, but it's not going to be enough. The 4 is not enough. And so I message Evertote, which first of all, amazing to them because they didn't have to do this. And so shout out to Evertote if, this level of customer service was beyond. And I feel bad, and I'm definitely going to go buy more from them. And I know that Carolyn does charity pieces and things like that throughout the year for causes that are close to her. And I know that they did this without expecting anything in return, but I definitely anticipate doing some donations because I felt like this was, again, just beyond customer service. So I emailed them and I asked, looks like I only got 4. I think I need 8 in order to be able to finish the piece. And so I was like, because I ordered this in December. I'm like, I know it's January and, it's unlikely, but I was like, is there any chance that you may have another 4 skeins in the same dye lot? And I would like to go ahead and order them, please. And the only reason why I emailed them was because I was hoping for the same dye lot because, dye lots can change from lot to lot. Not a problem. By the way, right? They're hand dyed. You can't expect things to be perfect. If you want them to be completely matchy, you should, then you have to get like DMC. But even DMC over time, over years, the colors shift. But anyway, so I'm not mad about that. I was just trying to make sure that if, did they have it, and then like kind of figure out what my next steps are going to be. So amazingly, they sent me the full pack. So they basically said, no, I should have gotten 8 to begin with instead of just 4. And to ensure that the dye lots match, they sent me all 8. So now I have extras. I have this, the original 4-pack, and then I have the new 8-pack. Now here's the question I have for you. And what should I do? So obviously I've done, keep these separate. I've put in not tons of stitches, but enough, right? Like this was not one day's worth of work. This was several days worth of work. And I have only 4 packs of these. Now, I'm only going to pick one each. Pick one. It may be a little hard to see on the coloring. These are different dye lots, right? So the one on the left, this one, you can see has a little bit more gray to it. This one has a little bit more gray than the one on the right, which is the new lot, which is a little bit brown, a little browner. It's not wholly different, right? Like they definitely coordinate, except that one has a little bit more gray and one has a little bit more brown. So this is my question for you. I have to actually watch videos about what to do to incorporate different dye lots. In fact, even one from Caroline. And basically, one of the suggestions that they made was basically use a thread from the old lot and the new lot. So just tweed the 2 and then just slowly bring it in. And then that way, that's how you get the colors to blend a little bit more naturally. And so then you wouldn't really notice as much, right? So that's the first option. I've never done that before. So has anyone done that? And what is your experience? And is there anything I need to be aware of if I choose to go that route? What should I be taking into account when I'm tweeting them or anything along that lines? Like if I'm going to merge the 2 thread packs. So that's option 1 is, blending them in together and then just moving forward from here on out with blended threads. So that's option number 1. Option number 2 is that here is the pattern, right? So all I've done is this little top corner here, right? So option number 2 is that I use the original 4 thread pack to finish the border. Just finish the border in that original thread pack and then bring in the new thread pack for the center. It obviously will create a different look because the border will have a little bit more of that gray tone to it, and the dragon and the letters will have more of that brown tone to it. I'm pretty certain that I have enough of the 4-pack to finish the center. The other thing I thought about doing was using the blended thread to finish the border, right? So not the border, but the line border, like this border at the top here. I only did the top there, like do that one as another way to kind of save some of that 4-pack, the original floss pack. So that's option number 2 is that I just use 1 pack for part of the pattern and a different pack for the center part of the pattern. So option 2. What do you think about that? Again, it will create a different look because of the different colors, but they complement each other. Same, right? So I don't think it'll be that big of a deal. One of the things that would be a way to do that. Third option is I just frog, right? I just completely frog out this part, just frog it out, start all over. What do you think? What would you do in these options? I will let you know. I am not a fan of option number 3. I don't really want to start over, but I also feel like if I'm not going to be happy with it, then that might be the option to consider. But what would you do, and what is your recommendation? Is there a 4th option or 5th option that I'm not thinking about? Let me know your thoughts. I love this piece. I have every real belief that when it's done, it will get framed and displayed. And so let me know what you think. I'm going to go ahead and make some more crinkle noises to get the original and the new floss pack separated, so that way I don't accidentally blend them. But let me know. This is not high on my stitching priority, other than I really enjoy stitching it. And I look forward to continuing to stitch on it. It does fit a lot of my prompts for the Lord of the Rings challenge group that I am in, and that I mention quite frequently, Fandom Central Stitching. Information down below. Come join us if you're interested. It's not Lord of the Rings themed, and that what you have to stitch is Lord of the Rings. It's just the prompts are based off of Lord of the Rings. But the prompts are things like, the dwarf was wearing a purple cloak, stitched in purple thread, right? So these are not like, it doesn't have to be a Lord of the Rings project or a Hobbit project. But come check us out. Hang out with us. All right, next up is Halloween Wreath by Frosted Pumpkin. Today, February 6th, we will be receiving the next part of the clue. But as of right now, we have received part 4, and so this is where we are for part 4. Can I tell you that I finished part 4? No, I did not. I worked on Halloween Wreath for a total of 2 days, weekend days, but so I did put in 3 days. I worked on it for 3 days. I put in 666 stitches into this. I am doing this on, looks like, where is it? I'm doing this on 32 count Lugana Silver Moon by Fiberlicious Yummy Fabrics, and doing 202 with the called for DMC. So this is where I did finish part 3, and I did start working on part 4, but not as far as I like. So my goal for the Halloween Wreath is to catch up, is to finish part 4 and then to get caught up with part 5 when it gets released later today and for the rest of the month. I do want to stay caught up on this piece, and but lots of fun. Frosted Pumpkin really is one of my favorites. No concerns with this one. Just ongoing funness. Y'all, are y'all having allergy problems? Like, my nose has been really itchy these past few days, and I don't know why. I take allergy medicine, but anyways, but yeah. All right, next up is another new start, and this one I'm really very excited to be doing, which is Shimanchu Rabbit by my friend Laura with Tarsier Stitches. So this is it. First of all, I'm going to let you know, let's be thankful for, if you have a chance to go do this, she does have a Ko-Fi page. Like, the amount of work, because this is a cultural pattern, right? So this is designed for her culture. All of this information that she has provided explaining the culture of the pattern. I mean, look at this. The education is just beautiful. And not to mention, it's just a super cute pattern, right? I mean, it's in honor of the Year of the Rabbit. So for those cultures that celebrate the Year of the Rabbit, there are some cultures that are celebrating the Year of the Cat. But I love it. It's an absolute beautiful, beautiful work, and she also provided a lot of information about the design, some links where you can go learn some more. I really would like information about the color palette, like explaining the colors, and as well as explaining her connection to the culture. And I feel like this is an amazing first design. Highly recommend it. please go check it out. So, but it was a new start for me. I am stitching this with all of the called for fabric. I'm doing this on 2/2 on 32 count Lugana Hidden Treasure by Fiberlicious Yummy Fibers. And I stitched on it for 1 day and I put in 414 stitches. And that is, oh, the color is washing out the gold a little bit. This gold is a lot brighter, but that is where I got to. Look at this sweet gradual gradation of that pink. Isn't that amazing? I mean, what a really excellent design work. Really excellent design. Lots of fun. Looking forward to continuing to stitch on it. My goal is to finish it in the next month or two. And it's pretty straightforward stitching. And you do have to pay attention because of all of the negative space that's in there. But I really, really am very excited about this. The Maroony Crafts has her Flosstube video where she discussed how to stitch on cultural designs and kind of how to approach designers, and if you're really interested in stitching on different cultures. And I can't say it better than she can. It was extremely eloquently done. So go check out that video. I'll remember to link it down below, so that way you can go check her out. And if you're not watching her anyways, fantastic floss taper, check her out. So that's that one. And then last but not least, my birthday was last Monday, a week ago. I turned 46. Is that what? So in my brain, like I'm 27. Right? Like that's where I think that I am, right? I don't think I always find, like, first of all, if y'all are not friends with people of different age groups, it really is great. I'm also a quilter and I belong to a bee, and a lot of the women, I was brought there by a friend who's my age, right? She's within the same age range as I am. And so, but a lot of the women that are in that group are older than me, and they range in length of ages, anywhere from 10 years to 20 years. And there were some that were older than me who have since passed. But it's so I have the benefit of having people who are friends who are older, and I also have friends who are younger than me, who are millennials, 10 years younger than me, and even some people who are in their 20s. My husband is 5 years younger than me, and he's the oldest of his 4 siblings, and so they are also quite younger than me as well. And I think that there's something to be said about, and I don't know if younger people can really appreciate this. I hope they do. But when I talk about, like, in my age, I'm 27, right? Because when you meet people of all these different ages, my friends who are in their 60s are also 27 in their heads, right? Like it's we don't think of ourselves as old. We just think of ourselves as having different levels of experience. And I also have met people who are young who have a lot of life experience. And so I don't think age defines experience and how you approach the world or anything along that lines. But it's a fascinating thing to kind of be around people of different ages and realize how much you actually have in common. And what you don't have in common is the things that happen in time, right? Like obviously I was born in the 70s, and so I can't ever talk about what happened in the 60s because I didn't live through that and I don't know what that experience was, right? But I know what it's like to be a teenager. And so it's like, in being a teenager is, So anyways, that's my little weird platform. But so I turned 46, but I did not do a new start, but I wanted to stitch on something that was reflective of me and my personal self, and so on my birthday. So for 2 days, on the 30th and on the 31st, I worked on Lady Justice. I only put in 207 stitches because, unfortunately, I had to work. And so here's Lady Justice by Mirabilia. So this is what I worked on. I also have worked on this in February, so there is some additional stitching on that since I finished it in January. So you're like, that does not look like 212 stitches. But basically what I did was I finished outlining I outlined the edge of the sash and a little bit the top, and the middle part has been filled in since this week as I continue stitching on it. But this is where it is. I'm doing this on 32 count Lugana 2/2 with all of the called for DMC on Coat of Doves by Atomic Ranch Fabric. So that's it. I will be doing a skin conversion when I get to her face, but that is where we are on that. That is all of my stitching for the month. So while not tons in any single piece except for Lord Theodore, I did do, but lots of different projects because of the stitching challenge. So that's it. Let's talk about what I got. Speaking on Lord Theodore, we did get the next one in the line of the steampunk sheep. And this one is Dr. Georgina Wyndham. Let me take it out of the plastic so that way it's not so reflective. So I did get this one, and I just placed the pre-order for the next one in the series. I don't know if I'm going to be able to keep up on these, but as I finish one, I'll start the next. I am missing one, and I'm hoping, she did say that all of the patterns will eventually get released, and so hopefully when that pattern gets released, I will be able to do the thread packs anyways. It's okay if I don't have the bags and stuff, but that was the next pattern that I got. I also got my next fabric of the month for Fiberlicious. This is Razzmatazz. Look at that. Look at that. Isn't that just I mean, I'm going to have to start finding patterns for the fabric because I just want to stitch on these things. And typically what I do is I find a pattern that I like, and then I see if I have a fabric that works for it, and then, go from there. But really, I got to start finding some patterns for these fabrics because, I mean, look at that. Isn't that just beautiful? So there's that one. I also purchased something from TopKnot Stitcher shop. Really what I wanted was a needle minder. As y'all know, I am definitely Halloween 365, and now it's okay for me to confess this, but at the time when it first came out, I was a little too old to admit this because of the age group. But one of my favorite Halloween movies is Halloweentown, and look at this needle minder that I got from TopKnot Stitcher. It's Halloweentown. Oh, it won't focus. Oh, come on. It's reflecting off of the light. Isn't that awesome? So I had to get that. How can you not get that? But you can't just have a needle minder travel by itself. So I also purchased a autumn-themed pattern. Sorry for the crinkly noises. So I got Autumn Littles by Waxing Moon Designs. And those cute, sweet little animals hanging out. Aren't those adorable? So I had to get that as well. Put these back. All right, and then last but not least, in terms of things that I got, I signed up for a finishing club with Crazy Annie Stitches. Crazy Annie Stitches, all right. And so it's Lady Dot creates a little finishing pack, and so this includes velveteen, trims, and charms, and I haven't even opened it, so I know it's got that reflective light, but let's open it together. So crinkling noises. So here's the velveteen. Very, very velvety. And then more crinklings, as this is in a separate baggie. So various trims that are included. So here's the little dots, a little red ribbon, some rickrack that's kind of a mossy green that's not focusing. And it had a couple of trims, charms in here. I have no idea if this is going to be something that I feel like is a good thing, but I don't really finish very often. And I thought that maybe by getting the finishing packs that are actually already put together, that I might be encouraging. So there's a little key here, a heart, a little clover, and then a matching button. So let's see. I don't do a lot of smalls, so I don't really know yet how this is really going to work out for me. But it's every other month, so I figured for 1 year, 6 packs, could put together some finishing packs, and who knows? And let's see if it encourages me to do some finishing. So that's it. That's everything that I purchased, and that's it. Plans for February, not a whole lot. Y'all know I'm a stitch what I want when I want. But I do have a goal. I ended up not working on Cinderella at all, even though that was my goal, was to finish the page in January, which was not going to be that much work, other than, I needed to sit down and work on it. But I never had the mental space to pull it out and focus on it. And so I will be doing that in February. I'm going to continue to focus on Cinderella, Wishes on a Dream. I'll probably work on Tree of Magic. And then otherwise, it's whatever I feel like picking up, as it matches those prompts for my stitching challenge group and Fandom Stitching Central. And we'll see where it goes. And, that's it. All right, so for those of you who are here just for the stitching, that's it. I'll talk a little bit about a couple of other things that I worked on, and then we'll go from there. All right, thanks for staying, y'all. So as I mentioned, I did a lot of work, so not a lot of other extracurricular activities, but I did do some reading, and I did want to kind of talk a little bit about that. I lost my reading bug a little bit, and my husband is a crazy reader. Like, he reads a lot. Like his Goodreads challenge is like 100 books in a year, and I don't read. My Goodreads channel, which is 24 books, so I try to read 2 books a month. Typically 1 paper book and 1 Audible is typically what I do. But even then, I didn't hit my goal in 22. So I'm trying to get myself back into reading, and going back into. And usually, what I do is like a weird palate cleanser where I read like a series of romance novels, and and it kind of cleanses my palate, and then I can go back into some more interesting reads. And so, not that romance novels aren't interesting reads, but you know what I mean, things you can finish in like 4 days, and but just kind of get me back into the habit of reading, because when you lose that habit. But I did, you know so when with these 20 stitches, when they issued their prompts for Stitch for Pride for the entire year. So I was first, thank you again for the labor and the work that they did for that, because not everyone should need to do that, right? But they are they share that labor, they share their knowledge, their education with us, and that is extremely generous of them, and I appreciate that. I did not do the stitching prompt at all, but well, I guess technically I did. I think there was an alphabet in Lord Theodore. There's some letters there, but I didn't hashtag it or anything like that, and I feel guilty about that. But it's the thing is that I think when it comes to doing education and trying to improve upon your interaction with your worldwide community, any effort is a good effort, and conscious effort is a good effort. And so you don't have to do everything that's being asked of you, but if you can do one thing, that's your one piece of the thread that you pull, and you keep doing that one thing, it adds up, right? It all adds up. So all of that is to say that when I was looking at all of these prompts, I was like, oh, these look like amazing books. I actually want to read some of them just because the stories sound absolutely fascinating. What I really wanted to do was to, one, recognize my reading bug is gone. Like, I don't have a lot of interest in reading right now. 2, I knew that January was going to be a very busy month for myself, and I didn't want to commit to something that I knew I wouldn't be able to finish, in picking something to read. And so those were 2 of the things that I took into account when I was looking at the reading recommendations. And so while I will admit the complete and utter selfishness in the choice of the book that I made. I think that there are no accidents, and that I was meant to read this book. So I ended up picking up I'm Afraid of Men by Vivek Sharia, and it is a very short memoir of about 100 pages, and it's amazing. You can read it very quickly. I did not read it in one sitting, but I think for people who are, you know, more of a reader than I am currently, you can easily read it in a day. And in fact, I think my husband did read it like in an afternoon, and I had him read it, and it was an extraordinary memoir because so right, memoirs are complicated, and we won't go into like memoirs. There's so many articles about accuracies in memoirs and are they fact versus fiction, but they're not fiction. They're recollections. Their recollections are being remembered by the author through whatever lens that they are looking at it at the time that they're writing it. And I think that that is, and typically a lot of memoirs are, because they're not autobiographies, that a lot of memoirs are usually processing the theme or processing an issue or whatever it is that they're going through, and that's kind of what's not coloring, but what is influencing the lens that they're looking at those recollections. And so I say that because I'm also currently listening to Spare by Harry, the Duke of Sussex. And, there's been a lot of criticism about the factual accuracy of some of the narrative that he has in there. And I think that memoirs are not necessarily intended to always be facts. I think they're intended to demonstrate recollections. So, anyways, let's get back to the topic at hand, which is I'm Afraid of Men by Vivek Sharia. It's really important, I think, to read and experience and watch stories and read memoirs and watch interviews and documentaries about the experiences of people that do not match your own, right? That don't look like you, that don't think like you, that don't and I actually do strongly believe that anyone who's in a political bubble, and this is the only thing I'm going to say about politics, right? The only thing is in a political bubble, it is important that you do seek out the opposite point of view. Because I do think that when you go and you seek it in, you will realize there's more commonality. Because when you can start getting into the roots of why people think the way they think and why they approach the problems the way that they approach it, because again, everyone looks at the lens through their experiences that they have, you will find that we have a lot of commonalities. And I think that what was for me reading I'm Afraid of Men was that there was a lot of things that I really identify with. That I am a woman who lives in the United States. I am a mixed race person who presents as Asian, who lives in the South, and that has also had a lot of experiences that I was able to very much relate to in reading this memoir. And so then the first part of the memoir, I was like, wow, I actually really relate to this. And, but I also found myself, because there were things that not the exact same, because everyone experiences things differently, right? And everyone has their own encounters with things. But there were a lot of things I'm like, I remember going through something similar to that. I knew people who experienced something similar to that, right? To kind of get to the point of how you had this experience. But then what was amazing and what was such a well done and such a short memoir as well, the connection between there is a shared experience, but then there's this divergence of a completely different experience that Vivek was experiencing because they are trans. And I think that that was something that was so well done. There was a connection, there was such a personal connection to the story, right? To their memoir. And it was such a, well, her memoir. And it was, but then it was, you're like, well, because one of the things that allies have a tendency to do is to step in and be like, I know how you feel because I experience X or I do X, right? And so it's like, so when you're reading this first part of this memoir, you find yourself doing that. You're like, well, I know how you feel because I experience similar things. But then because it's broken down into 3 parts. And then in this final part, there's this connection where you have this epiphany of, the shared experience and the shared recollection of things is not the same. That there is there is this very particular experience that Vivek experienced because of the nature that they are trans, and that what I experience is not the same. I may have empathy, but it's not the same experience, and I cannot put myself in those shoes. Such a well done thing, such a well done memoir, super fast read, a short book, well worth your time. I'm not sure if there's an Audible for it, but I highly recommend it, and I really want to thank the recommendation of the book. And that was a long book review, but I hope it was worth the time and you staying. Now, going into that is February. It's Black History Month. Black history is very much, and Black culture is very much on the attack in certain parts of this nation, for sure. We are not going to go into the politics behind it, because there is politics behind it. But the reality is that there is an element of erasure of Black history, and it's really important that we don't forget that. And so for me, I am going to, and another thing to consider is that you shouldn't expect people in the community to always carry the labor. I'm very appreciative of Dee for their efforts in Stitch for Pride and giving us resources so that we can learn. But you shouldn't expect that. Black people in the Black community are not required to teach us about their experiences. It's not their job. It's our job to learn when we can. There's lots of anti-racism information out there where you can learn, but but you start where you start. And so, but for this month, I am choosing to read This Long Thread by Jen Hewitt. I don't have a physical book with me. I'll stick a picture in here. And I haven't gotten it yet. It's on hold at the library, so hopefully I'll get it soon. I'll take a read of it. But it's a collection of essays of Black fiber creators and how they look at it. So I'm really looking forward to that. I hope that you find these little segments on these book reviews that I do. I don't know if I'll do one every month, but as I can, I hope that you do find them interesting and stick around for them. And so, but otherwise, that's it. Let me know if you are reading This Long Thread, if maybe you have a creator that you would like to recommend. Consider in Black History Month supporting Black business owners, Black creators. Go find Instagram accounts, go find designers. There are a handful on Etsy. I don't have them written down. I didn't do my labor, but it's but try. But there are things that you can do. But for me, for this month, I'm gonna read This Long Thread, and then hopefully something else. And with that, 42 minutes in, 10 minutes of that on a book review. But wherever you are, I hope you're having a stitchy good time, and I'll see you next month. Bye-bye.